Shin Godzilla.
Oh man.
So my wife and I watched Shin Godzilla,
Yeah.
and this I thought that she had like an interesting comment. She said so bureaucracy is the monster here,
Ah.
and I was like,
Ah.
yeah, you know what, you ain't far off.
Well, 2016, Shin Godzilla.
Shin
Here's the
Godzilla, there
good
you go.
description right here. This is so lengthy. I'm sorry it's so long, but bear with me. Japan is plunged into chaos upon appearance of a giant monster.
See, you know what I like is I like that there is something about this one that doesn't worry at all about what the context of him showing up is. Not a
Right.
bit,
Yeah.
right? Just he just is. And the thing is, I think that's great for the gestalt of Godzilla. Is Godzilla's gestalt is that he is, he's just there.
Well,
But
wasn't this kind of a sequel to the very first one, 1954? Because
it really,
the first one
really
explained
is.
his origin. Hey, he was woken up by all this nuclear bombs
Right,
going off.
right. Yeah, and the 1954 one for sure. Right, not the 56 one,
Right.
but this is definitely dovetails that.
Yeah.
I have to say though, I really like the monster in this one.
Well,
I
do you
mean,
know, I didn't get to my description of this one.
okay, go ahead.
A nice monster goes for a stroll, and humans start attacking him again.
Again. You know what?
The poor guy just can't take a walk. What's up with that? Anyway, no, but the monster, I actually didn't like him at first, but I like how he evolved.
Yeah,
Like, I hated his eyeballs in the beginning.
yeah. The tail was disturbing.
Yeah.
The tail was disturbing.
Well, the whole time the tail was
until
disturbing.
the tail started shooting lasers, and then you're like, oh, okay,
Yes.
okay.
Why
But
was the tail so big? That's what I want to know. It was like
Well,
bigger than he was.
it was very strange. You know, the thing is this whole thing, the whole Godzilla. There have been 36 Godzilla films. 4 of them were American.
Only 36? It seems like there's
Only
been more than
36.
that.
No, it's 36.
Wow.
I looked this up. There are 36 Godzilla films, and here's the thing that I have learned all over that I can take as my takeaway from 36 Godzilla films: is location, location, location. Stay the out of Japan. And then for at least 10% of the time, stay out of America.
Right.
and Godzilla is just not going to be a problem, right?
Right, yeah. Well, okay, one thing that was, we just watched Godzilla versus Kong, and one major thing that I really, really like in this one that I didn't see in the other one,
Right.
which I saw in the first one, the Godzilla, original Godzilla,
Yes. Do tell.
there was some great shots of like one side there's this monster going knocking down buildings, and on the other side there's these people they're running away. It was perfect.
And there's people trying to get their tanks out of the way.
You actually see people in the foreground running away from this thing in the background, and
Yeah.
that didn't happen in this most recent Godzilla movie that we just saw that they spent millions of dollars on.
Well, also the thing though that was really interesting, and I know that you got the subtext here, is that it was bureaucracy fighting itself, and the people that were the real heroes were the weirdos.
Yeah,
that
the
came
nerds.
together.
Remember they brought in the nerds and the freaks?
But what's great is that
I love that scene where they brought in the nerds and the freaks.
where they
and
brought
there's
everybody.
the
yeah,
music playing in the background, and they're like,
Right.
"Oh."
What I thought was great is that they literally, well, let's go get the nerds, and then they introduce them. Well, hey, we're the nerds. It's like,
Grab your pencils
really?
and your laptops,
Yeah.
everybody.
Oh, yeah. And they got the really angry, vacant-looking woman, like, and she looks like she's right on the edge of having an autistic attack.
Yeah, yeah.
And she goes, "Well, I know what to do."
Didn't I see that girl in the ring?
Death.
Wasn't she in the ring?
But what I really do, I really, and I've seen this film before, and what I really like is I really like the last 10 minutes of it. It's to me, it's they get Godzilla down, and then the great thing is the view of the city then involved is Godzilla.
Right, yeah. He's a big sign there.
Yeah, it's like the camera pans around, goes Godzilla.
Well, there's a shot of him, the people talking with him in the background too, which was kind of cool.
Right,
but
right, exactly. It was like an American Japanese kind of romance, but I love the fact that it was all driving American and Japanese bureaucratic mechanisms.
Well, there was some really passive aggressive
anti-American
there,
stuff.
like anti-American, the Americans would go figure. That's what they would do.
which the great thing about it was there wasn't one of them I could argue with.
Right? Yeah, they were all pretty much accurate.
they were absolutely right on the nose. You're like, oh yeah, we would do that.
And this was right before the Orange Cheeto became president.
Yes,
Cheeto, not Cheetah. The Orange Cheeto became president.
And
imagine what the comments would have been if Trump was in office when they wrote this.
I know. But you know what? The interesting thing is that also this was before the Fukushima disaster.
Was it before or was it? I guess it was.
No, it was definitely before. I mean, definitely. Yeah. And you were like, as a metaphor for that, you couldn't have gotten much closer,
Yeah.
Shin Godzilla 5 Shin Gojira, also known as Godzilla Resurgence, is a 2016 Japanese tokusatsu kaiju film produced by Toho Company Limited, and the 31st installment in the Godzilla series. It was released in Japanese theaters on July 29, 2016.
The Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster was a 2011 nuclear accident at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant in Akuma, Fukushima Prefecture, Japan. The event was caused by the 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami. It was the most severe nuclear accident since the Chernobyl disaster in 1986.
While the original 1954 Godzilla drew its parallels to the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings, Shin Godzilla uses the Fukushima meltdown as its central allegory. The story follows government officials in their baffled, ineffectual response to a threat that they don't know how to handle.
I think there was an earthquake before this one, though, that was pretty major.
There's always an earthquake in Japan. Really? An earthquake in Japan? Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, the Department of Energy, I don't think they'd be sending all this stuff to all places in the world for people to look at. They have their own scientists, okay? I mean, I happen to know because I know some people that work at DOE. Just saying. A little bit inaccurate. Fact check. Check.
Oh, you mean there were inaccuracies?
Look, I expect Godzilla to be exactly accurate. Everything should be accurate. They should call scientists before to read the script to make sure it's accurate. Well, so if there's a giant monster, would this be possible?
I like the fact that all of a sudden there are things shooting out of him. Just shooting just willy-nilly.
That was really wild. Yeah, where they had like 12 different things coming out of him.
Right. You were like, oh, I didn't expect that.
Well, he was evolving as
so
we
what
watched.
Are we gonna do? Yeah. Well, that was the whole thing, because I think that at the very beginning, he literally went through 3 transformations.
At the beginning, he was like a big slug. He was just.
He was a big slug.
He was crawling on his belly.
And he came up the river.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was interesting that that the mechanism of him, and the fact that in the end we were going to have to watch him in case he unfreezes.
Yeah. So, well, wouldn't that be a good opportunity to kind of start cutting him in pieces before he wakes up again? They didn't seem to be worried about that.
Well, yeah, it is a lot of meat, though.
Well, they could have fed Japan for how long? Well,
yeah, but you remember when they blew up that whale on the beach in Oregon? Yeah, it's like. Yeah, let's do that with Godzilla. Oh my God, there were cutlets raining down in my backyard for a week. for a week. Cutlets.
Well, there are some things I really liked. Actually, at the beginning, I was thinking,
Gojira.
I wish
Gojira
the
burger.
American Godzilla would be in this one because I thought the animation was a little bit not so. It looked like 2005, like Blue's Clues level, like animation in some spots.
Yeah, but I
Like it
loved
could have been better.
I loved it because I hated the American one.
I love the models with the boats flying everywhere. That was kind of a cool shot. And
But I like Godzilla in this one so much.
no, I really liked this one. I liked it. The whole thing I liked. I just didn't like the monster at the beginning. And about halfway through, when he reappears, I'm like, oh.
When he reappears, that one shot of him coming at the camera.
Yeah.
When I think that he was his slug-like self or something at the camera, that was pretty weak. But
it was like a seal. Actually, he was like,
yeah.
I was like, okay.
But yeah, later on, Godzilla was pretty cool, and the pumpers.
Yeah.
You know, tell me that when the pumpers were there pumping the Freon into his mouth, that you didn't think of the Thunderbirds, because I was like, oh my God, exactly the way the trucks came around, and then I was thinking, oh well, this is like 1960s all over again.
It was, yeah. I like I liked how they use foreground and background a lot, because there was one shot where they had the roof tiles that were shaking as he was walking by in the background.
Right, exactly. It's the shots were so well laid out, and they all. This is what I was talking about: is the difference between the one that Godzilla versus King Kong, and this one is the focus of this one is always Godzilla, and Godzilla can be definitely separated from the background.
Yeah.
And you're right. You do have dynamics. Each shot had a dynamic of a foreground and a midground and a background. And it was, there was just a stronger, there wasn't that feeling that it was an optical shot and we were trying to throw every
there was
piece
depth.
of every. Yeah.
It didn't have any depth in Mortal Kombat that we talked about last week.
Exactly. That.
Way
last
back when.
week. Yeah, that way back when. Yeah, right. Yeah. I remember that.
And I can't believe your wife missed the point of this movie. It was all about art because origami saved the world. They solved this by origami. Remember?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, but isn't that how the Japanese solve everything?
Yes.
Yeah, with origami.
I don't know. I wouldn't know, but
Hello.
I do like how she broke it down though. Very like, oh, this is happening. What the hell? I was like, wow. And I wish this wasn't the English dub because it'd be a lot more interesting, I think. Oh, by the way, yeah, one thing I was wondering about during this was you had to cast a lot of people, or at least have people that could do multiple voices, because there were so many different people talking. The dub would have been like
constantly.
a nightmare.
I have to. I am going to admit this is the first time I saw this. I saw it in the theater. I actually saw it in the theater in Kennewick, and this time I definitely noticed. Like my wife was saying, this is just purely about bureaucracy, right? And I could fast forward through huge swaths of that talking back and forth, right? And realize that the actual Godzilla of it, there was probably only about 15 minutes of Godzilla.
Well, he didn't show up. I actually wrote down he didn't show up to about 14 minutes in. It was.
Yeah, but I mean, altogether, there wasn't 15 minutes of him through the whole film. But they were definitely making a point about bureaucracy, because didn't you notice that every time there was this ridiculous thing of, well, now we got to this step, we're going to have to move the meeting. And every time they moved the meeting,
yes, yeah,
there was like this just army of people putting pencils in and typewriters and and that became absolutely absurd after a while. So you actually did get the point that one of the biggest problems that we have is battling our own insecurities and CGI.
Yep. And the damn Americans who have big egos, they really want to drop the bomb on them again. I mean, please let them do it. No, it seemed weird.
We just got rid of that guy. Bomb. Oh my god.
Oh, but they actually did make more.
We can just drop a bomb on him, right?
So you remember the first Godzilla? They had references to. They were really subtle references to Nagasaki and Hiroshima. This one actually straight up said, "Those remind me of the photos that I saw back when my grandmother was alive." I was like, "Wow, they're really bringing it all out of this one."
You know what? And here's the thing: is if it were me, I would be a lot less subtle about it.
Well, it was a little cheesy though, because it was a little over the top, especially when they're like, the nerds were working together, and they're like, "Oh, I guess we all could get along, can't we?"
Yeah,
because the Americans are helping us now.
Yeah, right. You know what? That's what you get when you get beat up again and again and again and again.
I think if they were smart Japanese, they wouldn't have called the Americans first. They would have gotten Swedish scientists to come in. That's just I don't know. I could be wrong.
Well, they'd be better looking at least.
Well, they're closer geographically, aren't they?
Geographically, let's go over the top, over the top.
I just think they would have brought Swedish people in rather than Americans. Because
what I thought was great is not only did they they got an American that looked like them, and still had a really bad American attitude.
Well, they should have had the Swedish come in too, and then been the kind of the in between, like, "Oh, guys, don't fight."
Don't fight now, don't fight.
That was my Swedish accent. Don't fighty. My only Swedish accent I know is the Swedish chef for the Muppets. Chef,
I was going to say. Sounds like you went all Swedish chef on his ass. God damn it. You don't get this thing fixed out, I'm going to bring my Swedish chef out on you.
Oh, sorry,
Please
Sweden.
Don't do that.
No, I'm sorry, because I know we had for a while.
I'm just sorry.
We were rated for a while in Sweden, but I think we've dropped. I think it's Aniara. We did that movie Aniara, and we jumped up.
Yeah, well, is that it? And now it's good. Now they're just waiting. Just maybe they should produce another Swedish film.
I think they only can do one like a decade. Is that the rule?
Something like that.
That's about how often I see a Swedish one.
Well, exactly.
I do love one of my favorite movies. Top 5 movies is Seventh Seal, but that goes way back to 1950 something. 50. I don't know what year it was. Ingmar Bergman.
Yeah. Well. So
you gave Godzilla vs. Kong a 0.14. And you gave the original Godzilla 4.9. Mm-hmm. I gave it 4.9, and I gave the Godzilla vs. Kong 2.3. Right. So
I'm going with a solid 3.2. And I stole your thunder because that's exactly where you're sitting.
Actually, no.
No,
I'm higher.
Really, bastard.
I'm giving it just below a 4, so a 3.8.
Wow, really?
I really like this. At first I was like, okay, this is a 2 because of the Godzilla, but then I was like, oh,
well, Godzilla got better.
I liked it. I think the dub made it a little cheesier, just the way they were reading it. It was a little cheesy, but I got over that.
It was a little cheesy, but you know what? Here's the thing. The thing is that the bad English dub, combined with what they were trying to say about bureaucracy in general, actually kind of worked.
Yeah.
Especially
the scenes where the scientists were all talking back and forth. Yeah, it definitely did.
Right. Yeah, it worked.
So I actually enjoyed it a lot. In fact, I wish this was the Godzilla that I'm watching instead of this American version of it.
See what I said? I said you had to see.
Because this is smarter. This is not just action and gore just to be action and gore with no plot. Yeah. This is actually plot with some action.
And the action is pretty cool.
No, I like seeing those scenes where he's walking through the town, and the way they shot this was perfect. And let's face
it, I know that this is a spoiler, but the fact that
I think we've already spoiled it.
Shin Godzilla is just standing there at the end, frozen. It's just the fucking coolest thing in the world.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is your chance. Cut him down. Just saw his head off. Do something.
They have 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So, 2 years that you don't know what you could do in 2 years. So
The only thing it was missing is a scene at the very end, a close up of his eye going. Why didn't they do that? Or a little noise like.
yeah. Dun, or dun, 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 dun.
So yeah.
Okay, are we done with this?
Yep.
Well, goodbye then.